It was a warm afternoon in the late summer of 1888 when the air in Baker Street hung heavy with the peculiar quiet of a city pausing between the hum of business and the stir of evening. The curtains at our windows were half drawn against the sunlight, and I sat across from my friend, the incomparable Sherlock Holmes, studying both the man and the smoke rings which curled upward from his long, slender pipe. Holmes, as ever, appeared to be lost in a realm of thought inaccessible to ordinary mortals. For myself, I was deep in contemplation of his method, his astonishing art of deduction. I had come to know that what appeared to others as miraculous was to him the result of strict reasoning, of the orderly arrangement of facts. Yet even after years in his company, I felt myself the pupil, forever trying to grasp the foundation of his genius.
My dear Watson, you are staring at me with the same expression you reserve for an interesting but untranslatable inscription upon an ancient monument. May I assume you are attempting once more to unravel the mysteries of my thought?
You read me as easily as you read the Daily Gazette, Holmes. Indeed, I was reflecting upon how you reach conclusions that baffle even the keenest minds in England.
Elementary, my dear fellow. The process is as clear as the multiplication table if one will only put aside imagination and prejudice. To reason correctly is to let the facts speak for themselves.
And yet, Holmes, to the layman, the steps appear invisible. You leap from observation to conclusion with an ease that bewilders.
Not leap, Watson, crawl, step by step, consideration upon consideration. A man observes the mud upon a boot and infers a country walk. She observes the tint of clay and infers the district. He notes the wear of the leather and infers the length of the journey. There is no miracle, only the patient linking of each fact to the next.
You make it sound absurdly simple, Holmes, and yet in practice it is the most difficult of arts.
Perhaps, but tell me, what would you say of the visitor who is even now ascending our stairs?
Celis, I heard no bell, no footstep.
Your ears, my dear Watson, are faithful but untrained. Attend closely. Do you not perceive the faint rustle of silk against the banister? The discreet pressure of a gloved hand upon the rail? It is a lady, hesitant and troubled, yet determined.
Astonishing, and I had not the faintest inkling.
Elementary. The sound was plain enough to one who listens. Let us compose ourselves, for within moments she shall stand before us.
Even as Holmes spoke, there came a gentle but urgent knock at our sitting room door. Mrs. S.W. Hudson, our long-suffering landlady, ushered in a lady whose appearance immediately bespoke wealth, breeding, and grave concern. She was tall, of commanding presence, though her face was pained with agitation. Her attire was of the richest fabric, yet her hands trembled as she raised her veil.
Gentlemen, forgive this intrusion. I come to you in direst distress, compelled by circumstances I dare not reveal openly. Mr. Blanc, Mr. Holmes, I have heard that your powers exceed those of the official police and that your discretion is absolute. I must beg your counsel. Prithance,
Pray be seated, madam. You may speak without fear. My friend, Dr. Garson, is not only my companion, but my most trusted confidant. Your secrets are as safe with him as with myself.
thank you, Mr. Holmes. You cannot know what relief it is to find such assurance. My name must for the present remain undisclosed. Suffice it to say that I am the wife of a man of high station, a statesman whose position in the government is of no small importance.
Her voice faltered, and she glanced about our room as though the very walls might betray her. Saw that Holmes's expression softened, though his eyes grew keener, like a falcon sighting prey.
A matter of politics, then, and one, I suspect, of international delicacy. Continue, madam, and do not withhold a single detail, however slight.
This morning, upon the desk of my husband, there lay a document of utmost secrecy, one which, should it fall into the wrong hands, might plunge our nation into war. When he returned but an hour later, the document was gone, stolen, Mr. Holmes, and with it the peace of Europe hangs by a thread.
I confess that my heart leapt at these words. The peace of Europe. What greater responsibility could ever fall upon the shoulders of one man, even of Sherlock Holmes himself?
You are wise, madam, to seek aid without delay. I must know every circumstance. Who had access to your husband's study? At what hour did he observe the disappearance? And what persons may have profited by such knowledge?
That is the horror of it, Mr. Holmes. None but our household staff and myself could have entered the room. And yet I fear that to reveal more may bring ruin upon us all.
Madam, secrecy is a luxury we cannot afford. Facts, and facts alone, can lead us to the truth. Hold back nothing, for in reticence lies danger.
The lady pressed her hands together as though struggling between loyalty and desperation. At last she spoke again, her voice scarcely above a whisper.
Hmm, very well. Hmm. The document was a letter, an original communication from a foreign power received under strictest confidence. Its content, if published or misused, would provoke immediate hostility. My husband left it upon his desk while attending to another matter. When he returned, it had vanished utterly.
And there was no sign of intrusion? No broken lock? No disturbed papers?
None. The window was closed, the door locked, save by my own key.
Ho, ho, ho. And you, madam, where were you at the critical hour?
I. I was in my chamber. I had no knowledge of the document until my husband's alarm revealed its loss.
I could see that Holmes's gaze rested upon her, not unkindly, but with that piercing scrutiny which few could endure. He drew upon his pipe and released a cloud of smoke that seemed to veil his thoughts in mystery.
Madam, I do not doubt your sincerity. Yet I must ask, is there any person in your household, any servant or guest, who might harbor secret allegiance to another government?
None that I could suspect. Our household is small and long established. Yet there is one name that comes to mind, though to mention it chills me to the core.
Speak it.
Eduardo Lucas, a man of wealth and culture, well known in society, yet of questionable character. He has long shown unwelcome attentions toward me, which I have repelled. My husband knows nothing of it.
Lucas. The very name carries a sinister reputation in certain circles. It is whispered that he traffics in secrets, political secrets, for personal gain. Watson, you will recall certain reports from the Foreign Office regarding his activities.
Indeed, Holmes, I recollect now that his name was linked to several scandals upon the continent.
Precisely. Madam, you have done wisely to confide in me. I shall begin my inquiries at once, Watson. We may have upon our hands not only a theft, but a matter of espionage that threatens the very stability of nations.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, I beg you, recover the document and do so without exposing my husband to scandal. His career, his honor, his life's work depend upon it.
You have my word, madam. Discretion is my craft as surely as deduction. Now return to your home and await my summons. The game has begun.
With a grateful bow, the lady withdrew, leaving us in solemn silence. Holmes rose from his chair, his eyes alight with the fire of pursuit.
Come, Watson, there is not a moment to lose. If I am not mistaken, we stand upon the threshold of one of the most perilous adventures of our career.
And thus began our entanglement with the adventure of the second stain, a case in which politics, passion, and peril would converge upon the quiet hearth of Baker Street, and from which only the keenest deduction could save the peace of Europe. Scarcely had the door closed upon our mysterious visitor when Holmes seized his hat and cane with an eagerness I had witnessed only upon the scent of the most intricate cases. He paced the room for a moment, the lean figure quivering with suppressed energy, but then turned his piercing gaze upon me.
Ah, Watson, the game is afoot. We must test the lady's tale at once, for in politics, a single hour may dip the scale of peace or war. Eduardo Lucas, His name alone suggests a trail worthy of pursuit.
And yet, Holmes, are we not venturing into matters beyond the province of private inquiry? To meddle with affairs of state is surely to court disaster.
Disaster is already upon us, my dear fellow. The disappearance of such a document cannot remain long concealed. Our task is not to meddle, but to avert catastrophe. Now, will you accompany me to the Foreign Office?
Where you go, Holmes, I follow. Thus, within the hour, we found ourselves rattling through the streets of London in a hansom cab, the rattle of wheels and clop of hoofs underscoring the gravity of our errand. The august facade of the Foreign Office soon loomed before us, and we were ushered with due formality into the presence of a statesman whose features bespoke both authority and deep anxiety.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, your reputation precedes you. I am most reluctant to admit the calamity which has befallen us, but necessity compels me. A letter of the most confidential nature, entrusted to the right honourable husband of the lady who visited you earlier, has been stolen. If it were to become known to the world, it would precipitate immediate hostilities with a power whose goodwill we can ill afford to lose.
You may speak plainly, sir. I have already been apprised of the essential facts by the lady herself.
Then you perceive the magnitude of our peril. The question is not merely one of honour, but of national survival.
Indeed. Now, tell me, has suspicion fallen upon any particular quarter?
We have heard whispers of a certain Eduardo Lucas, what? Whose connections with foreign agents are well attested. But proof eludes us, and without proof we are powerless.
Proof is my business. Pray give me leave to act with the utmost discretion.
You have carte blanche, Mr. Holmes. Whatever assistance you require shall be rendered. Only restore to us that which has been lost, and your name would be spoken with gratitude in the highest councils of the realm.
True, we withdrew from the Foreign Office with the weight of empire upon our shoulders. Holmes, far from being daunted, seemed invigorated by the responsibility. His eyes gleamed with the anticipation of combat against a worthy adversary.
Watson, to Lucas's residence. If rumor speaks true, we may find the spider at the center of this web, ensconced in luxury, yet fatally careless of the threads he spins.
The house of Eduardo Lucas stood in Godolphin Street, a fashionable quarter where the elegance of the exterior masked the dubious character of its master. A liveried servant admitted us with practiced civility, and within moments we were confronted with the man himself.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the honour is mine, and Dr. Watson, of course. I had not expected such distinguished guests. Pray be seated. 2. What do I owe this unexpected pleasure?
To candor, Mr. Lucas, a document of great value has disappeared. Your name has been whispered in connection with its loss.
My dear sir, you want me to suggest that I, a loyal subject of Her Majesty, should stoop to espionage? Why, the very thought is absurd.
Absurdity often cloaks truth, Mr. Lucas. I advise you to measure your words with care, for they may be weighed in a balance far sterner than mine.
Laugh softly. You speak in riddles, Mr. Holmes. I am but a humble man of society, devoted to art and culture. If others envy me, must I suffer their calumnies?
Though Lucas's manner was polished, I detected beneath it a certain uneasiness, as though he played a part whose lines he had not fully mastered. His hand, adorned with jeweled rings, toyed restlessly with a papal knife upon the table. Holmes observed him with the calm intensity of a physician diagnosing a dangerous malady.
Humble, you say? Yet your walls are hung with canvases from the greatest masters, and your library brims with volumes in half a dozen tongues. Few humble men could afford such luxuries.
A fortunate inheritance, Mr. Holmes, nothing more.
Fortunate indeed. And yet, inheritance cannot explain the constant stream of visitors from every corner of Europe who cross your threshold at unseemly hours.
Smiles, Finley. London is the crossroads of the world. May I not entertain friends without suspicion?
Friends, perhaps, but enemies also. Take care. Lucas, for enemies have a way of shortening a man's days.
Is that a threat, Mr. Holmes?
A prophecy, Mr. Lucas. Good evening.
We took our leave, and as the door closed behind us, I could contain my curiosity no longer. Holmes, why did you not press him harder? Surely you could have cornered him with your questions.
My dear Watson, a cornered rat may leap at one's throat. Far better to let him believe himself safe. Did you not see his hand upon the papered knife? Violence lies but an inch beneath that polished exterior. No, we must let him weave his own snare.
And do you believe he holds the missing document?
I believe, Watson, that if the document is not in his possession at this moment, it has at least passed through his hands. Our task is to trace its course. But patience! Events may develop sooner than we expect.
That evening, as we sat once more in our rooms at Baker Street, the city outside seemed restless, its estless, as though the very air vibrated with impending crisis. Holmes, deep in thought, played a melancholy air upon his violin, while I recorded the day's occurrences in my notes. It was near midnight when a sudden knocking startled us both.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, you are urgently required. A terrible crime has been committed in Godolphin Street. Eduardo Lucas lies dead, murdered in his own house.
Murdered. The word struck the air like a thunderclap. Holmes laid aside his violin with unhurried precision, his eyes shining with grim satisfaction.
As I foretold, Watson, the prophecy has fulfilled itself with alarming speed. Come, we must hasten, for this crime will prove the pivot upon which the whole case turns.
And so, summoned by fate and circumstance, we prepared to plunge into the darkness of a crime that would test every faculty of reason, every ounce of courage. Of Ariston Towers, the shadow of Eduardo Lucas had lengthened over London, and beneath that shadow lay secrets capable of shaking empires. The cab which bore us from Baker Street rattled furiously through the midnight avenues, the horses urged on by the urgency of our errand. London at such an hour wears a mask unlike that of the day. Its streets deserted, its lamps burning with a spectral glow, its silence broken only by the cry of a watchman or the distant roll of carriage wheels. I confess that my pulse quickened at the thought of entering so swiftly into the heart of tragedy. Beside me, Holmes sat erect and motionless, his long fingers steepled, his hawk-like profile outlined against the carriage lamp. His silence was more eloquent than speech. I knew that behind that mask of calm, his mind was darting from fact to inference with lightning rapidity.
A curious irony, Watson, that a man who trafficked in the secrets of nations should fall, not by diplomacy, but by the oldest of human passions.
Do you then suppose, Holmes, that Lucas's death was the work of some foreign agent?
My dear fellow, let us reserve our conjectures until we have examined the field of battle. To theorize before one has data is the gravest of errors. You know my maxim. It is a capital mistake to theorize in advance of the facts.
We drew up before a handsome house in Godolphin Street, where a small knot of constables and curious onlookers had gathered despite the lateness of the hour. Within, the rooms were ablaze with light, and in the drawing room lay the lifeless form of Eduardo Lucas, stretched upon a Persian rug whose rich colors were darkened by a pool of blood.
Mr. Holmes, thank goodness you are here. The deceased was found by his servant upon returning from an errand. He has been stabbed to the heart with this very weapon.
Is the officer indicated the paper knife which still lay upon the carpet, its jeweled hilt catching the light. The expression upon Lucas's face was one of terrible surprise, as though death had come upon him in the midst of some violent altercation.
Observe, Watson, the angle of the wound. The thrust was delivered with great force from the front and by a person of considerable strength. This was no furtive assassination, but the climax of a passionate quarrel.
And yet, Holmes, the man's occupation would surely have made him the target of secret vengeance. Could not a foreign agent have struck him down?
Possible, Watson, but not probable. See here, the room shows signs of struggle. The overturned chair, the scattered papers, the broken vase. This was not the work of an assassin in the shadows, but of someone who faced him boldly.
We have found no trace of intruders, sir. The front door was locked, and the servant swears it was secure when he left.
Locked, you say? Then how did the murderer depart? By the window.
The window was closed, sir, and fastened on the inside.
Interesting. Interesting. We must consider the possibility that the assassin was a trusted visitor, admitted freely and departed before the alarm was raised. Tell me, Watson, what do you make of the torn scrap of paper upon the floor?
It appears to be part of a letter, Holmes. See, the edges are jagged, as though it were wrenched in haste, yet the writing is blurred with blood and only a few words are legible.
Tonight, at 9, peril, silence, fascinating. Fascinating. A rendezvous, no doubt, and one fraught with danger. Lucas was to meet someone here at this very hour,
Could that someone have been the thief of the missing document?
and the supposition is irresistible. We have two mysteries, the theft of the state paper and the murder of Lucas. The threads are not separate, they must intertwine.
Hey, bookie, Holmes bent suddenly, examining the carpet with his lens. His sharp cry of satisfaction startled even the stolid constables.
See, Watson. Here is the heel of a lady's shoe imprinted in the dust, and beside it the faint trace of a silk gown where it brushed the rug. A woman has been here, and recently.
A woman. Then might the quarrel have been one of passion rather than politics?
Passion, Watson, is often the servant of politics. Never forget that behind the clash of nations lie human hearts, with all their frailties.
Mr. Holmes, do you require that we search the house?
By all means. But do so carefully, for a single clue may hang upon the placement of a paper or the mark upon a wall.
For the next hour, we combed the rooms with the diligence of soldiers upon campaign. Holmes's eagle eyes missed nothing. The faint smear of blood upon the doorframe, the displaced books upon the shelf, the curious absence of one particular volume which left a gap in the row.
Note this, Watson, the missing book. Why should a murderer trouble himself to remove a single volume from a library unless that volume concealed something of greater value than itself?
You mean the stolen document?
Precisely. It may have been secreted here by Lucas to be retrieved later. We must ascertain the title of the missing book.
Holmes scribbled a note, instructing the servant to provide an exact catalogue of the library, and then turned his attention once more to the body. His expression grew darker as he studied the features of the dead man.
Lucas played a dangerous game, Watson. He dealt in treachery, and treachery has claimed him. But who delivered the stroke? That is the question.
At that moment, another officer entered hurriedly, his face pale with agitation.
Mr. Holmes, news has reached us from Paris. Lucas was already married, sir, to a lady of violent temper. There are rumors of jealousy, of quarrels beyond endurance.
Holmes's eyes gleamed with sudden comprehension.
A jealous wife. It fits, Watson. It fits. The passionate quarrel, the thrust delivered in anger, the trace of a lady's shoe. Yes, we begin to see daylight.
Then you believe his wife crossed the channel and confronted him here?
It is the most reasonable hypothesis. Dazed, she discovers his treacheries, perhaps his attentions to another lady, and in the heat of fury strikes him down. The scene before us speaks to passion, far more than to cold-blooded assassination.
Yet, Holmes, where then is the missing document? If his wife slew him, what interest could she have in matters of state?
An excellent point, Watson. We must beware of hasty conclusions. It is possible that the document was indeed hidden here, and that her intrusion disturbed his plans before he could dispose of it. The absence of the volume, however, troubles me. Someone has carried away that which was secreted within.
Do you suggest a second visitor?
I suggest only that the case grows more complex at every turn. We have passion and politics, love and treachery mingled in a tangle that will test our utmost skill.
Holmes's words ran true. Enough! As we departed that grim chamber, leaving the officers to their solemn duty, I felt that we stood upon the brink of discoveries both perilous and profound. The night air was chill as we stepped once more into the deserted street, and Holmes drew his cloak tightly about him.
Watson, mark my words, this murder is no isolated crime. It is the fulcrum upon which the fate of nations may turn. We must tread with caution, for already we walk upon ground that trembles with danger.
And so, beneath the gaslights of Godolphin Street, we resolved to follow the trail wherever it might lead, though it plunges into the darkest labyrinth of intrigue. Little did I know that the path would lead us not only through the salons of the great, but into the very chambers of our own conscience, testing loyalty, discretion, and the iron nerve of my friend Sherlock Holmes. Dawn broke over London, casting long and pale beams through the mist that clung stubbornly to the streets. Holmes and I had returned to Baker Street after the grim vigil at Godolphin Street. The events of the previous night weighed upon me with an oppressive heaviness, yet Holmes seemed to draw energy from the darkness itself. His eyes, sharp and glinting, suggested that each puzzle piece of the case had already begun to fall into its place.
Watson, the body of Lucas has told us much, but not the whole truth. Observe, the document remains missing, the method of entry and departure is unclear, and yet there is order amidst apparent chaos. This is a matter of deduction, not of conjecture.
A boat is your first move, Holmes? Holmes! Shall we pursue the jealous wife or attempt to trace the stolen state paper through more mundane channels?
Oath, we cannot afford to ignore either avenue. First, we shall interview the servants and acquaintances of Lucas, for every man and woman in his household may hold a thread of the larger web. You, Watson, shall accompany me to Godolphin Street once more.
Good. I followed Holmes obediently, aware that each step might reveal yet another facet of the intrigue. The servants greeted us with nervous deference, and Holmes, ever the master of persuasion, began his inquiry without delay.
Good morning. I wish to speak with the housekeeper, a matter of importance concerning the events of last night.
Sir, I will tell you all I know, but it is a terrible thing to speak of, and I pray you will forgive my trembling.
Fear not. Speak plainly, and the truth shall protect you.
Last night I saw Mr. Lucas in the drawing room writing a letter. A lady came, tall, elegant, with dark hair. I did not recognize her at first. She spoke in sharp tones, and there was a quarrel. Then I heard a scream, and when I entered, Mr. Lucas was on the floor, and the lady had fled. Womail.
Holmes's eyes flickered with keen interest, as though the smallest spark of information might ignite the entire blaze of discovery.
Describe the lady's clothing and appearance. Every detail is of significance.
She wore a dark gown trimmed with silver and a hat with a feather. Her gloves were white, and her voice, oh, sir, it was so commanding, yet filled with anger.
White gloves, silver trim. You may have provided the clue that illuminates the path. Thank you, madam. You have been most helpful.
Once the housekeeper had finished, Holmes turned to me with a gleam of triumph that I had seen before only when a particularly knotty puzzle had yielded to his genius.
Watson, note this. The lady was no mere jealous spouse, but a woman of society and influence. Her movements, her attire, her very presence speak to planning, to purpose.
And yet, Holmes, how does this lead us to the missing document?
Consider, Watson. If the lady acted in passion alone, she would have committed the murder and fled. But the state paper remains missing. Therefore, either she or another party intervened to remove it. Our next step is clear. We must seek those who might have profited from Lucas's death.
Our inquiry led us to several fashionable drawing rooms and salons, where whispers of scandal and intrigue hung upon the air like dust motes. Holmes questioned each individual with the precision of a surgeon, dissecting each word, each hesitation, each mannerism, until the hidden truth became visible through the smallest cracks.
Mrs. Redmond, you stated you visited Mr. Lucas yesterday evening. Tell me, did he mention any letters or any documents of importance? Bidao. Get.
Letters, Mr. Holmes. He spoke only of personal matters, nothing of state, I assure you.
Yet he wrote a letter, did he not? Was it taken from his desk?
I know nothing of it.
Ah, Watson, observe her eyes, dilated, guilty. This is no innocent conversation. She hides something.
Indeed, Holmes, her face betrayed the slightest flicker of recognition when he mentioned the letter. I marveled at his ability to detect what others might spend years concealing.
Watson, there is yet another avenue to pursue, the postman. If Lucas sent or received letters in the last 24 hours, we may trace the movement of the document.
The postman proved to be a veritable treasure trove of information. Holmes listened carefully as he recounted deliveries and pickups, noting times, addresses, and even the minutest hesitation when the man recalled an unusual request for early dispatch.
See, Watson, the trail begins to take shape. The paper must have been concealed in some vessel, removed from the library, and sent on its way by some trusted intermediary.
Holmes's mind, a labyrinth of logic and observation, began to weave a tapestry that united murder, passion, and espionage. Every action, every word, every glance of Lucas and those around him was accounted for, catalogued, and weighted.
Watson, we must consider the timing. The letter was missing upon his return from a previous meeting. Therefore, it could not have left the house until after the quarrel, and yet someone had access. The list of suspects narrows.
Holmes paused suddenly, his eyes fixed on the intricate patterns of the street outside, clear, as if reading hidden messages in the shapes of lamps and doors.
Watson, do you notice the postmarks, the peculiar routes, the recurring initials in the addresses? They suggest a courier system, clandestine and efficient. The document has been sent abroad or will be unless we intercept it.
We returned to Baker Street to prepare our next move. Holmes was restless, moving like a panther in his study, collecting instruments, notes, and maps, each piece essential to the next stage of his deduction.
It is elementary, Watson, yet requires precision. We must identify the courier, the recipient, and the hiding place of the state paper. Only then can the matter be resolved without scandal or harm.
The hours passed, and the city slept beneath the fog while we plotted the course of unseen hands. Holmes, who had spent his life in the service of reason and observation, seemed possessed by a singular purpose. Every clue, every thread, every shadow of movement was catalogued with meticulous care.
Soon, Watson, we shall confront the final player in this drama. The woman who struck Lucas, the intermediary who conveyed the document, and the hidden threads of international intrigue shall converge. We are on the verge of illumination.
And so, as night descended once more, I felt a thrill of anticipation. Holmes, the master of deduction, had guided us through passion, treachery, and mystery, and I knew that the next hours would bring revelation, perhaps peril, and the final unveiling of the second stain. The morning broke over London with a pale and hesitant light, as though the city itself feared to witness the resolution of the events that had cast such a shadow over it. Holmes and I had prepared ourselves for the final confrontation, and I confess that I felt a mixture of anticipation and dread. Every step we took along the fog-laden streets seemed fraught with portent.
Watson, the pieces are now arranged. The murderer, the lady of influence, the courier, and the hidden location of the state paper. They all align.
Why?
Observe, the paper has not left London, but lies hidden where only one person could have deposited it.
Holmes's words, calm yet insistent, conveyed the certainty of his thought. He had once again reduced the chaos of human passion and intrigue to an ordered pattern visible to the trained eye.
Come, Watson, we shall first visit the lady herself. If my deductions are sound, she knows more than she admits, and it is in her house that we shall recover the missing document.
We arrived at the residence of the lady who had first come to us in distress. Her manner betrayed both hope and fear as we were shown into her drawing room. Holmes's gaze swept the room as though it were a crime scene, noting every chair, table, and curtain.
Madam, we have come for a most delicate purpose. The state document you feared lost is within your house. Your own actions, guided by loyalty or fear, have concealed it, but we intend to restore it safely.
Mr. Holmes, I cannot comprehend. You mean that it is here, despite all?
Precisely. And I must ask you to trust us. The document must be returned to the Foreign Office without scandal. Your discretion is crucial.
Holmes moved with quiet confidence to the library, scanning the shelves with the intensity of a hawk observing prey. I followed, noting every minute gesture. He paused before a modest volume, a book of poetry, and his slender fingers traced the edges of the binding.
Watson, see here. The book is hollowed, a clever device intended to hide the letter. Note the slight indentation, the discoloration of the pages. A practiced hand has worked here.
With careful precision, Holmes extracted the document, its folded parchment intact, the seal unbroken. I felt a thrill of relief at the sight, for the peace of nations, fragile as it was, had been preserved.
Oh, Mr. Holmes, how can I ever thank you? My honor, my husband's honor, all would have been ruined.
Madam, you have done wisely to entrust the matter to us. Discretion and patience are virtues which have saved more than mere documents.
As we prepared to leave, Holmes paused, turning to regard the lady with the sharpness of one who sees through masks and intentions alike.
Remember this, madam. Truth, no matter how carefully concealed, finds its way to light. Loyalty and courage guide the hand which wields justice most effectively.
Once outside, Holmes explained to me the intricate sequence of events that had led to the document's concealment.
Watson, observe! Lucas, realizing the importance of the state letter, hid it in the hollow book. The lady, discovering the letter during her passionate confrontation, did not remove it, but inadvertently revealed to us the trail which could lead to its recovery. All else, the murder, the quarrel, was a consequence of human emotion, not political plotting.
I marveled at his ability to untangle the dual threads of passion and politics. Holmes's mind operated on a plane far above mere mortals, yet he explained each step with the clarity of a master teacher.
And the courier, Watson, you may ask? Oh, you may ask. A young man, unremarkable in appearance, whose task was to deliver the letter abroad. He had followed instructions, yet fate, combined with our intervention, prevented disaster.
The Foreign Office soon received the recovered document, and I accompanied Holmes to hand it over personally. The dignitaries, their anxiety replaced with relief, expressed gratitude that bordered on awe.
Mr. Holmes, Dr. Watson, words cannot convey the depth of our gratitude. Europe itself owes its stability to your insight and vigilance.
Sir, it is merely my duty to observe, deduce, and act where discretion requires. The peace of nations is safeguarded not by might alone, but by reason, foresight, and careful attention to human character.
Once the official matters were concluded, Holmes and I returned to Baker Street. The familiar comfort of our rooms was a balm after days spent amidst the tension of intrigue and danger. Holmes, however, was already lost in thought, his eyes fixed on some distant problem, invisible to me.
Watson, every case is a lesson, every mystery a map of human nature. Observe closely, deduce rigorously, and act decisively. The second stain has been removed, but the stains upon human character, jealousy, ambition, fear remain ever present.
I sat quietly, reflecting upon the events we had witnessed. Lucas's death, the near loss of a vital state document, and the courage of those who acted rightly all combined to form a narrative, both tragic and instructive. Holmes, seated before the fire, pipe in hand, appeared serene. Yet I knew that beneath that calm exterior lay a mind forever alert, ever calculating, and ever prepared to defend reason against the chaos of the world.
Watson, let us take our rest. The world has been spared from disaster today, but tomorrow will bring new enigmas, new complications. Our work is never done.
And so, I reflected, as I often did, upon the singular genius of my friend, Sherlock Holmes, consulting detective, master of deduction, guardian of both truth and discretion, had once more preserved the safety of nations by the application of intellect, patience, and the quiet courage of reason, and I, his loyal companion, could only marvel at the marvels of his mind and record faithfully each step for posterity. Thus ended the adventure of the second stain, a tale of passion, espionage, and intellect, where even the smallest observation led to the salvation of empire. And I knew, as I retired that night, that London slept peacefully once more, unaware of the unseen hands that had guarded it, and the singular mind that had guided our course through peril, shadow, and truth.